Hey all, Xeno back here. Today we're going to be tackling a Mega Man 2, as this title screen would suggest. This game has a really divisive reputation in the Mega Man community as a whole. I've seen people saying its praises to no end. I've seen people bash it into the ground, way too deep. My opinion is a bit more middling. I'll get into the specifics, but really, I think this game has a lot of good elements, and a lot of poor elements that were improved later in the series. So, first off, you might notice that there's a difficulty select here, which is a feature that was first introduced in this game and didn't return until Mega Man 10. But this was only present in the American version, as the Japanese version just has the difficult mode. The normal mode is a easier version. I guess they thought Americans wouldn't be able to tackle this game. It basically doubles the damage you do against every enemy and boss. I'll be doing difficult for the sake of the review. I can handle it. So, Mega Man 2 was also the first game to introduce a password system, which the original Mega Man lacked, so this is also a good step forward. Not really relevant nowadays since you could just save state, but it was excellent for the time. This game also introduced the series staple of having 8 Robot Masters, unlike Mega Man 1's 6. But, while it laid the groundwork for future games, this game has a lot of design issues I'd like to get into, and no other stage would exemplify this better than Heatman. We're going to be choosing stages very deliberately in this first part. Anyone that's played Heatman stage probably knows exactly what I'm going to be complaining about here, but I'll start off by saying that the music in this stage is a bit repetitive. I've never liked it as much as some of the other music. It can get on your nerves pretty easily after a while. The second thing I'd like you to observe is that this stage really doesn't have much to do with heat at all, minus the graphics. If you were to take the lava, replace it with spikes, which it pretty much functionally is, replace some of the graphics, you really wouldn't have anything very thematically strong. There's nothing very fiery about this stage, no flames, no cool gimmicks, like even Fireman stage in Mega Man 1, which preceded this game, had a lot more to do with fire, which is kind of sad. But this stage is the designated Yoku stage. Now, you might have just seen me pause there for seemingly no reason, and I didn't think I'd get into this quickly, but Mega Man 2, like Mega Man 1 before it, has a pause trick of sorts. In this game, it isn't related to enemy invincibility frames, though. It's more about your vertical momentum. If you pause in midair, your vertical momentum is reset, and this allows for some glitchy shenanigans in certain stages, but also helps you reposition yourself if you make a slightly too early jump, which you're very prone to do in this stage. So, anyways, I've blabbered on enough, and we've reached the problem segment of this stage, which is the inconsistent Yoku block puzzle. The timing on these blocks is like no other. They're not consistent, and I've heard this is due to some sort of issue with them being on a global timer compared to the rest of the assets in this stage. I'm not sure how much weight that holds, but either way, these blocks don't appear at a consistent rate, and it's quite problematic. It doesn't help that blocks appear right on top of each other, as you just saw there. Even though I've practiced this segment in so many failed recordings, I still can't exactly nail it. Timing is just really janky. For a new player, this is probably killer. You'll get a game over on this stage, certainly, if you have no idea about this. That's the primary issue with Mega Man 2, at least the first 8 stages, the unfair stage design. No new player would ever be able to tackle this puzzle without item 2, which is what most people use to cheese it. But if you select Heatman right off the bat, just as a new player, you're probably screwed. I don't think any other Mega Man game has such egregious obstacles like this. Alright, looks like I got it right this time. It gets a little easier from here on out, until there's one more middle finger moment close to the end. I believe it's this. Yep. So that's how you beat Heatman's Yoku block puzzle without item 2, for any of you that didn't know. Now, after all that, the game decides to throw a Mecha Joe at you. I'm using Turbo Fire here just for convenience, but to avoid these guys, what you want to do is jump when they land. That'll prevent you from getting shot. I'll probably showcase that a bit more later, but what I wanted to highlight in this stage was the unfair stage design. You really have to know. I only was able to clear that in a couple of tries just because I know what's coming. Unless you memorize the exact block and the exact timing, you will fall to your death. You'll probably game over here. Now, Heatman himself is pretty much a pushover. You just jump right at the start when he throws these kind of poorly positioned flame pillars. Again, you really gotta know, or else you're gonna get hit most of the time. After that, though, Heatman is extremely manipulable. He'll just go back and forth trying to tackle you. There's a bit of RNG with how long he waits to tackle, which can be a problem. If he chooses a really short amount of time, you can get hit. Otherwise, you should really be fine. Just walk back and forth like you see me doing here. He'll take him down in no time. Even on difficult, he takes 2 damage from the Buster, so he goes down pretty quick. I wouldn't recommend tackling Heatman first, though, for obvious reasons. The weapon get screen gives me a chance to talk about another element of this game that's severely lacking, which is the weapons. Compared to Mega Man 1's set of many pretty decent weapons, except I guess Hyper Bomb is mostly useless and Super Arm is really situational, this game really only has 2 really broken weapons and then 6 very lackluster ones with niche uses. They're all still pretty fun, but some of them are better than others. Metal Blade. But I'll get to that later. Now, Atomic Fire here is probably one of the worst weapons in the game, purely because of how much ammo it consumes. I'll get a chance to show this off. We're going to do Quick Man stage just to showcase all the unfair stage design in this first video, and then we can show the better stages later. So, Atomic Fire. The main problem is that it just consumes way too much ammo, and it takes far too long to charge. Alright, here's a fully charged shot. That's 10 ammo. So you get 2 shots of this. 2 fully charged shots of this, and that's it. The noise it makes while charging is also annoying as hell, really. And this weapon also has a lot of strange glitchiness with the charging. There are 3 levels of charge. That's the lowest level, here's the middle level, and then the larger level you saw earlier, but the initial and middle levels do damage to some enemies that reflect the fully charged shot. Now, I'm not positive about this, but I believe what they did is they used the Buster as some sort of base for coding the lower levels of Atomic Fire, because usually whatever the Buster is capable of affecting, the lower levels of Atomic Fire hit as well, but sometimes the fully charged shot doesn't work. I don't know about this totally, but that's my hypothesis. Now, here's the infamous part of the stage, the quick beams. I'm gonna have to pause to fully explain this, but basically, there are holes in the wall that show where the beams are coming out, but your reaction time is really limited. Oh, I died because of the pause glitch, okay. I shouldn't have done that. That's an example of the pause glitch working against you, I suppose, because my vertical momentum just disappeared. Probably would have helped me clear the obstacle. But basically, the first part of the stage here isn't too problematic. The beams come out in showcase locations, and you have ample time to get out of the way as long as you're not sitting around. So I think this first part of the stage, while, you know, I don't like this gimmick in general, but this isn't a terrible introduction to it, honestly. If you know to go to the right here, you'll get some items, which is always nice. But the real problem segment doesn't come until later. That's the segment that everyone complains about, for a good reason. Now, this segment, in between the 2 beam segments, I've always found to be a bit weird, because it has these fire enemies, which should have been in Heatman stage, all things considered. There are no fire-related enemies in Heatman stage, and then you go to Quickman stage, and you have these fire-throwing robots here. I've always found that to be a very strange, like, thematic mismatch. Anyways, here's the worst segment. You'll notice right off the bat that if you fall straight down, you're gonna have to do a really awkward jump. So this is what I do to avoid that. Just pause here and use the pause glitch, and you can continue on your way. Now, you have to go down here, but the inputs are so precise. This segment is another killer for new players. You, once again, have to know exactly what to do. If you've had trouble with this segment, just pretty much follow my movement, and I failed to get that life. I got it in a failed recording. I was talking about being able to grab it naturally on Discord, but looks like it didn't happen that time. That's okay, I'm usually able to get it. Anyways, that's how you clear the quick beam segment, but it's thoroughly unfair. You gotta have instant reaction time, and you learn by dying, pretty much. Trial and error. You do it until you learn where to go, and I've never been a fan of that kind of stage design. So this stage, not really, not one of my favorites. I guess it can be fun for, you know, the veteran player. Like, I don't have much trouble with it anymore. I can easily tackle this stage first, but, you know, I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people out there that couldn't do this without a time stopper. In any case, that's the stage. Now, Quickman himself isn't much better. He's one of the most erratic and least patternized bosses in this game. And it's actually primarily due to a bug. Normally what he's supposed to do is jump 3 times, fire boomerangs, and run toward you, and be kind of rather predictable. But he has this bug where his collision sinks into the ground, and he does one of his jumps in the wall, which messes up his timing completely. You might be able to see what I mean in a second here, but as far as strategies go, kill him as quickly as possible. He takes 2 damage from the Buster, so if you have no special weapons, you'll still be probably okay. There we go. Not gonna waste any time trying to explain that pattern. The boomerangs hone in on you, obviously, as well, as you could see. Now, Quickman's weapon, Quick Boomerang, is one of the 2 in this game that I was talking about earlier that are broken, along with Metal Blade. This thing has tons of ammo. You get 8 shots per bar, which is a pretty hefty amount. So yeah, you can fire over 200 shots of it, and it affects every enemy in the game. I'll be able to show that off in better detail later, but there is not a single enemy in this game that is not vulnerable to Quick Boomerang. Anyways, that's it for now. I'll be tackling the rest at a later time, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.